First of all, I'd like to spend a few words regarding the team I work with in the EBRD, which is the Energy Efficiency and Climate Change team. We are part of the banking department, but we work across the various industrial sectors where we deal with. And we typically are involved in potential deals when companies are seeking the support of the EBRD for modernizing or expanding their operations. And there we start engaging with the client, trying to highlight investment opportunities which would allow to increase the energy efficiency of their production plants. We got the mandate from the shareholders of the bank to implement and manage the Sustainable Energy Initiative, which has as its main target to foster investments in energy efficiency, renewables, and sustainable energy. This initiative started 4 years ago, in 2006, with the first phase, which ended in 2008. We are now working in the second phase, which is closing this year, and we are now in the phase of launching the third phase of the Sustainable Energy Initiative. Basically, with the first phase, we dealt with investments on auxiliary systems and the simplest ways of saving energy in production plants. With the second phase, we moved into the topic of on-site power generation. And with the third phase, we will even increase the scope of our engagement, and we will enter into the overall resource efficiency. The main pillars of our activity are summarized in this slide. For the audience today, it's mostly interesting to focus on the first one, which is engagement with industrial clients for developing energy investments in their production facilities. And the fourth one, the renewables, which were introduced during the roundtable. And last but not least, the last one, the carbon market development, which is more relevant for companies which have operations in European countries in light of the newly introduced environmental trading scheme, where basically operations will be now required to be benchmarked against the international best practice, and we need to get allowances on emissions as a result of their higher environmental performances with respect with international best practices. So far, we've been able to foster investments on over 8 billion euros in sustainable energy projects in 24 countries and over 400 projects. And we have with these signed deals, we've been able to achieve emission reductions in the level of 46 million tons per year, which is approximately double the emission amounts of Croatia. And we've been able to achieve energy savings in the range of 15 million tons of oil equivalent, which is approximately the annual consumption of a country like Serbia. How we engage, it's a comprehensive set of tools. First of all, we offer technical assistance to the industries by running energy efficiency audits at the production departments, by supporting the clients in the feasibility studies and the implementation of these projects. On the other hand, we engage with the political stakeholders, with ministries, trying to discuss the adjustments to the institutional and regulatory frameworks, for instance, for supporting investments in energy-saving areas or for facilitating investments on renewable energy. And finally, we combine this access in real project investments with private or public companies and with the results we've seen before. In the agribusiness in particular, where we are still struggling to maximize our contribution for different reasons, so far we've been able to sign 44 projects with a clear energy efficiency component for transactions of about 250 million euros and project values of close to 2.5 billion euros. And we've been able also to provide additional 200 million euros of investment through our credit lines, which are the Sustainable Energy Financing Facilities, SEF. And the difference between the SEF and the direct deals is that the latter is more designed for small and medium enterprises, and where we can have efficiency in investing in smaller projects. And we've been involved with most of the agribusiness sectors. This slide is interesting. Reports the energy intensity of 25 recent production facilities in the agribusiness sector where we executed an energy audit in our countries of operation. And despite the fact that, especially on the right-hand side, you can see there are some excellent examples of energy efficiency, and some of these excellent examples are contributing actively to this Congress today. On average, I may say that our countries, the industries in our countries of operation consume approximately 60% more energy for ton of products or final products than the international best practice. So as long as the energy cost component in the total production cost is concerned, these companies start with an inefficiency of at least 60%, again on average, in comparison with international industries. That's where we enter into the scene, because there's a lot of potential which is not exploited today. And as you can imagine, by engaging with a client, providing top-notch consultancies, working with a client for detailed inspections of the production equipment, and then by developing engineering reports, we started by fixing the low-hanging fruits. Especially until a couple of years ago, we focused a lot on the auxiliaries, which means the way the energy is provided to the process equipments, motors, pumps, lighting, air conditioning, and all these external systems around the key components of the production plant. And last but not least, we've been supporting more and more investments in energy management systems, which are a combination of hardware and software for providing more supervision and monitoring capabilities on exactly where and how much electricity and heat is consumed, and by providing possibilities of controlling these consumptions and to some extent minimizing their use. In this perspective, today we provide assistance to the clients for getting the certification under the newly introduced ISO 50001 standard, which focuses on energy management. From here, we then moved into the power generation sector, which means producing electricity within the production facility. This is something that needs to be discussed on a case-by-case basis, because it has to really be customized to the production needs. But in principle, what we aim is to install an electricity generation system on site, coupled with the heat production system fueled by the exhausts of the power plant, and also by the exhausts of the production of the main production plant. If we talk about natural gas, we have for small-scale applications, basically two technologies competing one with the other, and there's not a specific common winner. It really much depends on the local characteristics, on either the gas turbine or the internal combustion engine, where the second one has a higher electric efficiency, but is more suitable for producing hot water rather than steam. And on overall, what's clear is that the decision is based on the spread between the natural gas price and the price of electricity. But as we see today in this region and across Asia, due to the constantly increasing energy costs and increased attention on environmental sustainability, these systems are becoming more and more profitable. And as you can see in this slide, as long as the electricity price goes beyond the 60, 70 euros per megawatt hour, companies start to seriously look into these investment opportunities. And this becomes even more clear when the fuel is not natural gas, but a biomass. And for us, let's say we are pushing more and more investments in biomass, in the biomass sector, as long as it's based on waste biomass, which means production wastes, either dry or wet residues. But we start to feel more and more uncomfortable with investments with pure crop to energy projects. For different reasons, we try to move more and more towards the waste to energy concept. In this perspective, when we have dry biomass systems, we have closed a number of deals, even this year, with companies in the agribusiness sector where the dry leftovers are used either to produce directly steam in a steam generator or to produce steam and electricity. And the key drivers in this sense are basically what was already discussed during the roundtable, the availability of biomass and the logistics associated with the procurement, the collection and the delivery on site of the biomass. Then it's also a matter of size, which again is based on the amount of biomass which is available. But in terms of size, if you want to produce electricity, there's a certain critical mass beyond which the investment is feasible. But if you look at small-scale applications, you need to be very careful in evaluating all parameters, the technical and economic parameters, because it could be difficult to justify a small-scale project in this case. The other thing, of course, is the subsidies or the feed-in tariffs, which this kind of production can rely on for its profitability. And the opportunity cost, because especially with dry biomass, we typically compete with other options which are selling this biomass as a byproduct. And sometimes the opportunity cost is more beneficial for the second option rather than on-site energy production. But when we deal with the wet streams, manure, food leftovers, food processing residues, and wastewater, there's growing attention on using these streams for power and heat generation. We heard this morning about the AgroCore example, which was finalized this year successfully. And we are having a lot of clients now looking seriously into these technologies. We honestly believe that there's still a substantial potential of improvement of this technology. And the second thing is that we still believe that there's room for substantial decreases in the capex, in the investment costs, because we really see substantial variability on investment costs depending on the region. In other words, how familiar the suppliers of this technology are when operating with these technologies in the region. Overall, combining all these systems together, we can say that we've been able to achieve savings of at least 10 to 15% in production costs in the agribusiness sector. Interestingly, most of these investment opportunities are not very heavy. 50% of them have typically a payback lower than 3 years. So we've been able to leverage on this profitability of energy savings for supporting the clients in investing in these technologies. And if we go back to the initial slide where I presented the actual energy efficiency of the sector, with these investments we've been able to decrease the gap between the energy intensity of the agribusiness companies in the region approximately by half towards the best international practice. The next steps for us with the the next phase of the Sustainable Energy Initiative is to increase the scope of engagement with the clients. We will focus more and more on process innovation and in resource efficiency, which means not only decreasing the use of energy, but decreasing the consumption of water and raw materials, and more emphasis on recovering and recycling the wastes. This is an activity which we will make available from next month, and we will provide technical assistance to agribusiness companies for this multidimensional benchmarking and for investment opportunities in systems which will achieve resource efficiency on overall. So I hope that you will be willing to engage with the EBRD in these activities, trying to maximize your efficiency across the production facilities. Thank you very much.